Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Spearsovations Family Holiday Mixer. It's a special episode this week. It's the holiday season, and originally I had this grand idea that was going to be this insane 4-hour show, but instead I've pared it down because what are the holidays if it's not about family? So I'm joined by my brother Drew. Drew, how have you been? It's been a
Hey,
while since we've
Mike.
done a show.
It's been a while. Yeah, things have been very busy in Los Angeles. I'm in the process of moving this week, and I got work up until around the 23rd or something like that. So, but this is great because all I really want to do is talk wrestling with you, Mike, and especially since I will be not with the family for the holidays. This will be a nice way to get some time with you, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and of course, this is kind of going to be similar to a lot of conversations that we have about wrestling, so
Yeah,
it
no, for sure.
it fits with us. So, what we're doing this week, and first and foremost, I'm just going to get business done. Thank you all for watching this. This is a special episode of the Spearsovations Weekly Show. That is where every week, every Wednesday, I, Mike Spears, take you through the stories of pro wrestling. As it's the holidays, we're not doing that. This will be posted while I'm actually driving to Jupiter, Florida. So
God.
yeah, that's what I've got in front of me, Drew. It's not a bad drive, to be fair.
Yeah, I think I have a couple of podcast appearances that are pre-recorded that are dropping on the same day. So I don't know. Also check out Gut Shot on Street Fight. We definitely recorded it on the day that you're listening to this, and not like the day after Thanksgiving.
Hey, that there will be something that is coming out in the new year where I recorded this weekend, and I have to say that I will, when it comes out, I'll be issuing a apology for embarrassing myself on said show. So
Oh boy.
yeah, and it's not like nothing bad. It's just uh, for someone who likes to think of myself as relatively knowledgeable, I showed myself very quickly not to be relatively knowledgeable. So
We've all been
that'll be
there, though.
something
We've all
for the
been
new.
there.
Yeah, we have all been there. So we thought that Drew and I, because of doing the show together, that we're going to start off this show talking about a match exchange. We both exchange each other matches. We both kind of picked matches that have very similar bent, weirdly enough, like that. And we're going to talk about these. I'll make sure for the Spearsovations subscribers, you will have links to all the matches to follow along and talk with us here. But we're going to talk about, we have the Spears family match exchange leading off today's show. Then Drew, GCW's America's Most Wanted, Los
Yeah,
Angeles. You were
I was
there.
there live.
Yes.
I got a full trip report for you.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, love a wrestling match exchange. I think they do it at Voices of Wrestling pretty regularly. I like to see what people get. I think you and I just were like, let's give each other something from this year, and yeah,
Yeah.
it did wind up to be quite similar. I was thinking about what to give you, and I was originally gonna do like a Cruel match, former IWTV champion Cruel, because I do like Cruel, and I
Who
was
is the
like,
current? I thought he still was independent champion.
no, they stripped him, and then I don't know what happened. I don't know. I don't know if Cruel got injured or if there was some classic NWA style like intrapromotional fight and but like it's not Cruel anymore as I
Vin
understand
Gerard
it.
lost that loving feeling.
Yeah.
Like, that's a takeaway of 2022. Vin Gerard lost his feeling.
But like as far as stuff on IWTV that like they produce in house, like Cruel, also known as Mads Kruger, is a real highlight, and definitely a fun way to like book a beast deathmatch guy on the Indies. Was thinking about giving you a four-way between him, Sadaka, Mickey Knuckles, and Schlack, but like I remember watching it live and it was like pretty wild, and they wreck the place, and you have funny Schlack physics stuff where like Pac is of course the man that gravity forgot, but so is Schlack, but just an opposite way. Gravity forgot Schlack and is like the things that you expect some like gravity to take over and complete. It just doesn't happen that way. But I was just like, none of these
Drew,
like.
was this ICW No Holds Barred?
Yeah, this was that,
Yes.
and like they really, this was like I think All Out Weekend. But like none of the Cruel matches I feel like really captured what I like about him. So I was like, I'll actually try to find Mike a quote unquote good match. And I started watching some Lucha memes this weekend, and I was like, maybe there's a really good Black Terry match, and like Black Terry's also someone who like there's like a mask versus hair match with him and I want to say who was it? Puma de Oro in IWRG, and I couldn't find that. But I did, while I was watching some Lucha memes, come across what I thought was like both a good bridge for our GCW conversation, which was Ricky Marvin versus ASF at Lucha memes. I forget the name of the area. I'm going to
Oh, it was
butcher
Colisea
it.
Colacao.
Yeah, Kolakako. And I've always liked Lucha memes when I tune in. It's always like a kind of a cool thing. They clearly like to mix it up with like American indie workers. Um, but yeah, what did you think?
Yeah, so Lucha Memes is one of those. I find it very compelling because it's basically this guy who is a troll and makes a lot of people angry running this promotion that would record all these shows that just would not air anywhere, Drew, like for the
Mm-hmm.
longest time. And then IWTV. And of course, like Coliseo Colacaco is like one of the coolest venues in all of wrestling. So for
Yeah.
folks who don't know, this is the infamous outdoor dog ring. This is the one that usually, if you see your faves, you will see them show up there unless they're doing SimLL. SimLL don't like their people wrestling there. Most famously, this is where Hana Kimura like debuted the Slipknot shirt was at this venue. So
Oh, damn. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, I think like the venue is also like always like under threat of being shut down.
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like there's been a couple of times when I saw on the Lucha memes, like, also, I think we have to take a moment and just acknowledge what an insane name for promotion that is.
Oh, it's tremendous. It is like a top 5 insane promotion name.
Yeah. But I feel like they're always posting about how they think that the arena is going to close, and then they're always like, actually, we got another year on the lease. And they run kind of a Bola-esque tournament that I want to say Masha Slamovic won
Yeah, I think
this
so.
year. But, you know, ASF is someone who, like, is mostly around Texas and then has been brought into a fair amount of GCW dates, but I don't see him as much as I expect to. And I think, I mean, I don't know. What did you think of this? Ricky Marvin's obviously Ricky Marvin.
Yeah, Ricky Marvin rules. Drew, how much 2004 Ricky Marvin have you seen? Like peak young boy Ricky or young.
I've gone through the like canon of his like Noah shit,
He is.
and then his like yeah that like early 2000s run. But another guy where I'm just like I don't understand why he's not in America more. He did a fair amount at Circle Six this year, which is
Yeah.
a choice. I don't know.
I mean, Atticus Kogar needs someone to feud in that promotion.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, this match I really enjoyed it. Ricky Marvin has like transitioned from like 2004 where he was getting the shit kicked out of him by Kenta. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the most famous squash matches of all time. And I would argue probably one of like the 5 best 5 minutes and under matches. So having this like reversed because I've seen Ricky Marvin with actually ended up having the debut match that Dragon Gate Syndicate over to Mexico didn't debut him in Japan, but they said we want you to go do your debut match against Ricky. And
Yeah.
it wasn't at Colacaco, it was at another outdoor venue, but he's really kind of aged into that maestro role in a way that, I mean, you brought up, like back Black Terry is not that kind of wrestler, but he's from that generation where
Mm-hmm.
you will see Negro Casas, Negro Navarro, and people like that. And it's cool to see Ricky Marvin in that kind of role, like seeing like new generation kind of pissed off old men, even though he's like 40 and like 5'4".
Yeah, yeah,
It's
he's
great.
not that old, but yeah, he does really fuck up ASF a fair amount. You do get like the high spots from ASF, but it is like this example of what I think like the indies could use more of, which is just like older guy working with younger guy, like just like pretty simple. I mean, it's a fun match. There's some cool shit in it, but it's mostly like, you know, ASF trying to do some cool moves. Ricky Marvin grounding him, fucking him up. putting
And
on submissions.
the submission finish is
Yeah,
gross.
yeah. It's like he's really can make a submission look super gnarly. And I don't know. I mean, after seeing ASF in that 6-man tag from this weekend, it is one of those people where I'm like, oh, I feel like he should probably have caught on a little more. I think,
Yeah.
and Ricky is obviously someone who I'm like, why isn't he like just constantly in demand? But
Yeah. So I'm looking at ASF. I'm trying to kind of piece it together. He's a Texas guy, and that's
mhm.
always very kind of difficult
Yeah,
because
kind of tough to break out of that. But he did. I mean, he was at Hammerstein,
right.
and it seems like every time he gets brought in, maybe it's just because it's like he's not a name like in Mexico like a lot of the GCW lucha guys are that get brought in. So it's like he's probably not the like sexiest choice, but like certainly like I don't know, it's just like someone where like I'm really impressed with his work.
Yeah, it's something where I've definitely like low key ASF has popped up in a lot of stuff that I've had to watch. Drew, like
Hmm.
one of the first matches for a Dragon Gate kid in America, Gringo Loco defeats ASF and La Estrella at Deadlock Pro. Like
Yeah,
he's someone,
that makes perfect sense.
yeah,
Like I would not be surprised if he's someone that like could wind up on a tour or like in Mexico.
yeah,
Um,
and he's at like, from what I'm able to like quickly look up as we're talking, Drew, he's at a age where I think 25. Yeah, no, it's something that he's from Laredo. No wonder
yeah,
it kind of took
it's
a while
also
for him.
like you can clearly see that he's been doing it for a little while, and so like a lot of the rougher edges that some of the other younger acts have been kind of smoothed out, and he had that added bonus of not have. I mean, I think this is true in a lot of art of like honing stuff away from too engaged of an audience, where it's like, oh yeah, you know, you can work a bunch in Texas. There's not that many Texas promotions that get like big draws, and you know don't really make tape in whatever sort of modern term we're using for that. So it's
Yeah,
like you get to be good, and you get to like really hone your shit.
and it's something that for him, allegedly, according to Cage Match, 7 years pro, it
Hmm.
has really kind of let him, in a way, find that position for him in the Indies where we're now seeing him constantly, and it's something that's probably a something that like if you're like thrown into it, the GCW 6 way or the 6 man is one thing, but like I'm now like scrolling down his cage match just for like just to be able to see this. Like you're able to like throw him in to a 3-way with someone like La Estrella, and you can feel completely comfortable about that there. You're able to have him like be alongside like, and you constantly like see him pop up opposite Gringo Loco, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, think you're gonna see a lot more of him. I certainly hope you do, and I hope he gets to just work a lot more places, you know, across the world because I think he's a really oh see like in Laredo he went over Bandito. I have no idea if that made tape, but that looks really good. But
Was he
yeah,
promoting? Oh, that I'm looking at this right now. Lucha Maniacs, maybe.
maybe it's possible. Yeah. Um, but yeah,
So
you know, gets to work with like Arez and Commander and Gringo Loco, and like worked, you know, clearly working with them a bunch.
yeah, and it's something that like for him, like a lot of these like lucha indies and stuff like that, like that's where you get your like a lot of people like Mexico is good for developing the connections for him with that.
Mhm.
Speaking of someone that you mentioned, guys like shaving off their rough edges, Drew, and maybe making the connections in Mexico. I've got a guy for you for my match given to you. I asked you a question when you watch a when you're watching Lucha Libre, do you veer more towards the maestro technical stuff, or do you want like the modern indie lucha showcase? Drew, you answered showcase, and that's why
Mhm.
I gave you Diamante versus Takuma Fujiwara from Dragon Gate from April of this year. Takuma Fujiwara, Drew, he's 20.
Yeah, as good as everyone says he is. I mean, we were talking about short matches with the Marvin Kinta match, and this was like 8 minutes, and just so fun. Definitely like both like doing impressive, athletic stuff, but also really laying shit in. And I think that's like, I don't like the Rip Rogers or like Cornette school of thought, but like I also don't love when athletic stuff doesn't look impactful. And like Diamante like
He rules.
fucks up Fujiwara quite good. And I mean they're both like laying it in, and
Yeah.
like you still have that athletic hallmark of Dragon Gate stuff. And so that's very exciting, is seeing like some really, because I guess I need to see some more of Diamante and Shun Skywalker's tag team. I know that the Jackie Funaki tag is like supposed to be one of the best matches of the year. So
It's
if
going to
that's
be
similarly like them
yeah.
fucking each other up, I'm down.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you pointed out Diamante. Diamante is someone that is really interesting, and I thought that you would dig him a lot. So he is someone that came over right before COVID hit, Drew, and stayed.
Hmm.
He did not go back to Mexico. He is natively Mexican. He is married to Andrade's sister at one point.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, like he has the connections that he does not need to be doing this if he really
Did
wants
I
to. As
also
you
see? Is he um also related to Negro Crossless?
That was a rumor. I have
Okay.
because like I've had a lot of people ask me about that, and I've had to like go get into the into deep Twitter, get into the
Yeah.
DMs and figure out this because there was another insane. I won't say it was an insane rumor. There was also the idea that Diamante might have been Ultimo Dragon's like surprise son. That he is just like look, because this guy he was not very good in 2019. Like it was something where like as you see like the people come in through Dragon Gate, you could tell very quickly when there's an outsider who will either gets it or you're like maybe you could see it come there, and there's some that you're just like this person just does not work. Daga, Daga is that, but for Diamante, he got I in 2019 I was like I want this guy out of here, but then when COVID hit, he stayed in Japan, and now I know Gringo Loco gets the deserved praise for being like one of the guys that whenever you have these sort of matches, like the base god thing, I think is kind of a little bit
It's
too
a,
much.
it's. I mean, I don't know. It's a little bit of exposing business a little
Right.
too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. So
I'm
like
really good about basing for my opponent. It's like,
I'm really going to make sure that my opponents don't like collapse on me and make sure that our balance is okay.
yeah. Well,
But
first of all,
Diamante, I think is if that's Gringo Loco, Diamante, I think any like small guy, like I think like taking people from our matches here. Marvin versus Fujiwara might have already happened in Mexico. It just hasn't made tape yet. But
that would roll.
ASF
Yeah, I got to see
versus
that shit.
Diamante, because Diamante, he's like 5'10". Like he's not that big, but he comes off much bigger than he is, and he's very good at making smaller wrestlers like squish.
The Ultimo Dragon paternity rumor is fun because it just. I'm glad that there's dragon system version of the John Frankenheimer Michael Bay paternity rumor. That's what immediately I thought of, which is a conspiracy that I believe in. But also, I don't know how you can say that about Mike. He still raps red on all of his music.
It is so good. So this is what happened with Daga. Allegedly, I'm just allegedly. Tessa was like, "You need." It's like something happened that like Tessa got him to leave the tour partway through, or like was going to like
That doesn't
leave.
sound like her. That doesn't seem
Yeah,
like a
but before
situation.
but before Daga left, so like he was an RED, right? Like he
Hmm.
was brought in as like one of like Ata's friends from Mexico, and he was like in just like this. The show is actually happening at the end of this week. Final Gate. He was in that version of it, and it was just like RED versus Babyface team, and they were brawling around because that happens all the time with heel units in Dragon Gate. They do a lot of Memphis style stuff, and Daga was it looked like everyone was like paired off, and then you see out of the corner of your eye Daga go flying over the top rope and going splat. And later, there was a camera cut where you saw like, oh, this guy just decided to do slingshot over the top rope to the floor, and no one was there to catch him. And I don't think he gave anyone a heads up for it. So he
Jesus.
left his presence. He made his presence felt during his time in Dragon Gate Drew.
But
He
he'll be
earned
back.
the RED name.
um, yeah, I think these are like good examples of what I'd like to see more next year with young talent and older talent. I mean, not that Diamante is old, but it's just like, and there's a match on this GCW show that like I felt like kind of did that in a big way. There's this, America's Most Wanted is like kind of a combination of like what I really like about the indies right now and what I really don't. Because
Yeah,
like
so let's get into
halfway
it.
through, yeah. So last show of the year, I've been hot and cold on GCW. I joke about it a lot, but like I like won't get tickets to them until I see like they have people on the card I like, and even then I'm always like feel like I'm getting rooked because they're like working people who suck. There was like a couple of shows in the last year where like I was just like, this is fucking awful. But I saw that they have Pagano, and I immediately got tickets when Pagano, and then Commander, Los Vipers, and then Hijo de Vikingo, and I was like, well, that's enough. Okay, sure, I'm in. Great, and I think, I mean, Full House. So I mean, I think their touring business is still really strong, and I think you're going to see a lot more emphasis on their LA shows probably leading up to Mania because they were doing one in February. Wouldn't be shocked if they do one in March, and then the collective is happening. Um, I was late, so I missed a little bit of the 6-man scramble, but as far as the GCW 6-man scramble kind of style, this is probably the higher end of a scramble, and didn't wear out its welcome. I wonder if they have plans for Cartwheel because he's a local guy,
Yeah.
young. Nick Wayne, obviously, they have pegged for shit, as well as, Cole, Radrick. And I'm sure, if you can't have Nick Wayne work Vikingo, which, Defy had the next day,
Yeah.
might as well put him here for the time being.
Yeah, so I've become a bit of an Alec Price fan, and
Mm-hmm.
it's something where I just like look at him like, okay, he gets it. He just needs to like have time and be able to like grow both physically and metaphorically with that.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's just something that it really comes off when you see someone like Jack Cartwheel, who Drew, looking at Jack Cartwheel and the body changes he has went, could you guess which Japanese promotion he has done tours of recently?
I'm gonna guess Gleet.
That is correct. He has where you can just look at him. It's like, oh yeah, Shima had him in the gym.
I'm,
Yeah,
I'm I'm starting to see some people fill out.
yeah, right. But like, no, this was fun. But Cole Radrick is just someone to me that
Mm-hmm.
like I'm not going to be mean. Like this is the holidays, but like him in this match with like the other 5 guys who like I've been someone hot and cold on Jordan Oliver. I think Jordan Oliver's actually taken that step forward.
I
Weirdly
think
enough,
it's not as fast of a progression as some people might want, but I think he's
yeah,
really getting there.
yeah.
Um, and I mean, there is just a lot of young, good talent right now around GCW, and the question is, how are they going to be used? How are they going to improve? Yeah, Cartwheel feeling out nicely, and Radrick. I mean, it's just like, well, they're going to always need more guys to do the deathmatch style. I'd
Right.
rather just see him in deathmatch. I'd rather see him versus Gage than this. But yeah, 14 minutes didn't wear out its welcome. And then, a match that I was really kind of pleasantly surprised by was Starboy Charlie going over Matt Cardona. I think I had it in my head that, Starboy Charlie's like one of those kids, and kind of gets treated with a softer touch. But like, this is similar to the matches that we gave each other, where it's like this is kind of what you want a young guy to get his reps in with someone like Cardona. Like, who would be
Oh
better
yeah.
than to like be like, here's how to do a story based thing. This is how, like, I'm gonna really lay it in on you and have you beat the underdog. And like, Charlie's filling out some. He has an insane overall get up, but it's just
It's
like, yeah,
it kind of works.
It kind of works in, like, you have seen this kind of Cardona indie victim match before,
Mhm.
but it works. Like, it's
It's
still
a
really
formula.
fun. It's still really fun. Cardona, you're never gonna be like, you're never gonna get dog shit from him, and he knows how to work a crowd. And, like, I would say, with one big exception, which we will get to, nothing really wore out its welcome. And
Yeah.
yeah, just like these are like the kind of matches you should be doing with like your talent that's under the age of 25 or like 25 and younger. Is just like them versus like someone who's a TV hand, and it can just be like, because I don't know quite what people get from working the scramble matches or working against people at their same skill level.
Right. Yeah.
So it's nice to see, and I suspect they use Charlie a lot on the West Coast. They had him with the kind of weirdly abortive Fatu feud that kind of got snake bitten twice when
Yes,
his first
ACL.
hint. What's that?
Yeah, Starboy tore his
Well, he
ACL.
got injured, but also then there was his original partner was Dickinson, and
Oh, right.
then
Yeah.
like the blow off was going to be a tag match, and then Fatu no sold it, so it was just a singles match between him and Juicy Finau. But like definitely someone who like is improving at an impressive rate. And also, the first time I saw him in GCW, he was 16, and I was standing right next to his parents, and he looked every bit of a 16-year-old. So it's nice to see
Yeah.
that like he's starting to look like a wrestler.
Yeah, and it's something for him that it was just like I we're still like in a lot of ways like the residual fallout from speaking out, and with that with like the fact that like while those was happening, you had Starboy Charlie, you had Billy Starks, you had other wrestlers under the age of 18 and like this, and you're just kind of like about this. And I think like that apprehension, with a name like Starboy Charlie wrestling in overalls with like a baby face, there's always gonna be like a natural protectiveness, I feel like. And
Mm-hmm.
Cardona, I think Matt Cardona, the fact that not to go completely off tangent here, the fact that Conrad did not announce Cardona as like a major figure of that was real dumb. Of that
Yeah,
Australian promotion going with the Bennetts.
I mean, I think I feel it in the air that I think Cardone is going to go back to WWE.
I mean, you have to wonder with him because he did the heavy lifting already in GCW, that he can now do these matches without it being completely rejected by the audience, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you have to have him go and do like the Invader GCW Championship storyline just for like whatever you think about the GCW audience and like GCW, you have to kind of do those steps to have this audience accept him. And by doing that, now you're able to have something with a Starboy Charlie match, which, to be honest, that there was stuff on the show that I think I liked more. But if you're talking about like a complete match that like I took a step back, is like, you know what, this was perfect for what it was. That's what this
Mm-hmm.
was on the show.
Yeah. Good placement. I'm excited to see what they do with Charlie, because you would think he's gonna be well positioned in like the Mania shows. Maybe that's him feuding with Janela. Maybe that's, I don't know. It's curious because he's an LA guy. The crowd gets behind him, and you have these. I mean, maybe they'll put him with the other younger wrestlers. I hope they don't. I kind of hope they let them all kind of do their own thing. Um, and the next match, speaking of speaking out stuff, was changed because of the wrestler Hunter Freeman apparently having some sort of domestic situation come to light and being cut ties with from his San Diego promotion, and then GCW seems to have done the same thing, or at least icing him out. Sawyer Wreck was supposed to wrestle him, and then it was supposed to just be Masha versus Dark Sheik. Instead, it was a three-way, and it was 8 minutes and 3 seconds.
Yeah, I this was my first time seeing Sawyer Wreck. I mean, she's just not on shows that I normally like. I'm not watching like King of the Deathmatch, and I did not watch the Nick Gage Invitational for GCW.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just personally for like deathmatch stuff. It's just it's one of those things like I appreciate death matches, just not necessarily for me. So this is the first time seeing Soya Wreck, and I think she had like I think she's pretty good. I think it's something that me naturally being as tall as she is, like that's
Mhm.
like that. I would be down for just her versus Masha Slamovich. Like those were the
Yeah,
parts of
I
the match
think
that I was like I was enjoying this, and yeah,
I think, I first saw her when Janela put her over at an Atlantic City show, and I was
that
really
makes
impressed
sense.
with that. And I think it's another example. I don't know how old Sawyer Wreck is, but I think it's just like a matter of who she's gonna be working with, whether she wants to do deathmatch style, whether she wants to, you know, kind of, But I think she could be kind of like Masha, and it's gonna take time. I mean, I think she wants to work a big, impactful style, and she doesn't quite have the impact behind it. I don't like that choke slam spot that I don't think she did in this match, but wasn't super into it, but also was 8 minutes, Sheik and Masha, and they're all three of them are over, so like
Yeah, yeah.
it's hard to get pissed off at a match that goes below 10 minutes.
No, I'm totally with you on that, and especially like you already had like a couple matches like leading up to it. Like this was it got the with the exception of the Willie Mack match, it's got the least amount of time on the show.
Yeah.
No, and then beating out Hio Del Vikingo and Blake Christian by 37
This is, I mean,
seconds.
yeah, the pacing of the show was bizarre to me, and we can
And I
get
think we have
into
the
that.
reason in the next match.
Well, the next match was the six-man tag, Gringo Loco versus Los Vipers, Letigo and Toxine, over Erez, ASF, and Commander. That went around 23 minutes, but was great. Loved
Yeah,
it.
didn't lose the crowd whatsoever. So I
No,
mean,
just didn't feel like it was 22 minutes. And
there were some moments where like you could tell like they were catching their breath. That it was just like,
yeah,
oh, this has been going on a while, but it wasn't like, oh, no wonder they have to like pause because RS just ran up someone's back for 6 steps. Like give the guy a break. But no, this
hmm
rule that this
yeah,
like by
yeah.
far this is the thing to go. This match alone is worth your Fight Plus subscription for the month.
Yeah, it's really fun. And I think, they're probably going to do the World on Lucha again with Gringo Loco. So that will definitely be a show I will be in attendance with at
Oh,
for GCW. For absolutely.
yeah.
So, I mean,
The,
they're
the,
making some moves to
and,
really flesh out the, Lucha guys.
and when you look up and down this card, Drew, just like build it, I didn't mean to interrupt, but just like building off of that, you have this, and you have Pagano, you have Los Macizos, and then you have Hio de Vikingo. Like this is something where they are laying down a groundwork there that, yeah, no, absolutely. World on Lucha, like the most fun shows over Mania weekends usually are the Lucha shows.
Yeah,
So
and also it's just
yeah.
like like GCW where like half the roster is Lucha versus GCW where half of the roster is Brett Goons, you know.
This version of Big Japan is very weird.
Yeah. Like it's just like much more preferred when like you have Pagano and Los Masios and all of them mixing it up. So speaking of Pagano, this was Janela versus Pagano extreme title match, and this is when things start to go a little herky jerky. So they were filming a documentary or TV show about extreme reptiles, and Janela came out with the biggest boa constrictor I've ever seen in my life. And I was also like super close to the entrance.
I was trying to catch you in this. Were you left side or right side?
I was stage right.
Okay, yeah.
So but yeah, this giant fucking snake, and they're like getting B-roll with it, and Joey's, doing fun stuff with it. But to get the snake in the ring, they had to like drop the bottom rope,
Right.
and it snaps.
So
And
that's what happened to it. I didn't know
that is
if
what
it
happened.
snapped
I think
beforehand
they
or
might have
after
had
this.
they might have had some troubles with it, but also because I think saw the ring crew working on it, but it full on snapped. They tried to it's very interesting watching someone try to rework a turnbuckle and a rope and
Sure.
everything else like that. But so rest of the show, no bottom rope. Um,
Of which I don't think anyone backstage knew there was no bottom rope, or
yeah,
they all decided just to play it up.
yeah. Um, I felt like they left some on the table with this.
Yeah, it was something that it was ramping up. Like this
Yeah,
was
I
it was
mean,
something that it was like a pleasant ramp up too. Like, yeah, it was 18 minutes long, but like there was other things happening in this match
yeah,
that did like
Pagano
this.
being like the guy who main events, Triple Mania in
Yeah.
psychotically bloody brawls.
Uh,
I
did Drew?
wanted a little bit more of that.
Yeah, Drew. What's the deal with the chairs at the Ukrainian Community Center?
Well, they're like
Are they
banquet
plastic?
chairs. No, they're banquet. They're wood, but they're painted with like a gold lacquer,
Okay.
and they don't like it when they get used in matches, but they do get used. So like they always buy extra, steel chairs and stuff like that. But
Yeah, because
it's for
Pagano
banquet.
definitely exploded like 5 of those chairs.
Yeah, yeah, that's gonna happen at any Ukrainian center show. But yeah, wanted a little bit more of an extreme. I mean, for a GCW show, kind of light on super bloody brutal stuff.
Yeah, I
And I'll
mean,
go into
like,
that a little bit more. You get a little bit of it in a few. I mean, maybe the most Los Masios was like kind of the most brutal stuff, but I mean, it's so, but like, yeah, the Joey Pagano thing, 18 minutes. It just was like I wanted that,
yeah,
Pagano murdering chess man, feeling. Um,
yeah. It's something that like I feel like Pagano for so many years was just like, oh, Pagano's here to do the blood and the guts and AAA, but like you take a step back and you pull him out from that context, and it's like, no, this guy arguably one of the 15 biggest stars in Mexico right now.
yeah,
It's just one of those things that I don't blame him for not going for glass, not going for insanity here, but it was something that it felt like it was building. Like this was 18 minutes of a 23-minute match.
yeah, and I hope we get to see more Pagano in
Oh yeah,
GCW. I want to see him versus Rena. I want to see him versus Murdoch. I want to see him versus Cologne, Gage. I really because I think he can do a lot more. So after that, this was a rare occasion for a GCW show where there was no intermission. So it was Willie Mack versus Jimmy Lloyd. I watched Jimmy Lloyd come out and smiled and got to think about the different boy, and then I went and got a Sprite, and I missed the entirety of this match.
yeah. So Drew, 6 minutes. You didn't miss out on much. Willie Mack, the like Jimmy was like trying to bring in plunder, and then Willie wasn't having it. Then Willie won a frog splash through a table or through a door because yeah,
Yeah.
I mean it's something where Jimmy Lloyd is someone that I'm just wondering if he is doing enough brown nosing, so he's not going to be cut adrift out of the Brett scumbag side of the promotion.
Love Jimmy. Love the idea of Jimmy.
Yeah, I love the idea
If
of
he's not
Jimmy.
if he's not against Takeda, I kind of like or doing something really absurd. I'm probably gonna use that match to get business done. So speaking of matches, I wish I was. So this is where things start going really off the
Really?
rails. And
Yeah.
Charles Mason versus Effie. There's a long going feud with Charles Mason, like tormenting Allie, and now he's tormenting Effie. And Charles Mason, if you don't know, is the Hog World Champion, and he was like a JCW guy. And now it's like, what if MJF was like Dark Knight Joker version of
Oh,
MJF.
what if MJF was Dexter Loomis?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's very much like feels like Brett like entering his NXT
Killer Cross
Gargano
8.
Killer Cross era because it's just he's not great.
No.
Effie's super over and Effie can work well, but it just was like it was a lot of making faces. It was a lot of like, oh, is he gonna make Effie suck his dick? Like it's just like
Yeah.
stuff that like I don't know. I got a bad vibe that like Charles Mason is gonna be the next GCW champion. It seems like they're trying to slot him into that like one true heel kind of role that Ricky Shane Page had.
Yeah. Because
And
that's
boy,
Brett's booking trope. Yeah.
yeah, boy, when you make me kind of nostalgic for Ricky, you're
Uh,
doing something. It was a no
yeah.
contest. It became a fuck finish. Allie came out. It also wasn't like it wasn't bloody. It wasn't very. I mean, there was some blood. It wasn't very violent. And then Ali came out, and then like it turned out that then Pero came out, and he was
Yeah.
unveiled as his like henchman, and then Dark Sheik came out. So maybe this all accumulates at a big gay brunch, but
It's
just like
some.
I don't know
Yeah.
what the deal with Mason is, where he's the champ of Hog, and like getting this big push, and I mean it's baffling. Yeah.
Well, Drew, would it surprise you? Did you want to hear what his Hog Crown Jewel title run has been so far?
Well, I heard that there was something funny at the last show, but yeah, I do want to hear
Well,
it.
well, he got it in a very funny way.
Okay.
So he won the title in a referee decision, and I'll let you guess who he won it against in a referee's decision.
Oh, that would
It
be
is
Loki.
yes, it was Loki. Yeah, Loki.
There was a match where Loki had to drop a title and it didn't go to pinfall or submission.
Yeah, no, of course. And then
No.
he goes, and Ken Broadway's okay, but 18 minutes against Ken Broadway, 16 and a half minutes, Drew, against Homicide in 2022. This is
Yeah.
Hog. Like Master P is doing some wild stuff. El Phantasmo defeats Charles Mason by DQ in 16 minutes. He just he left the show and went and beat Lince Dorado. Sorry for the
Yeah.
spoiler. Like,
Yeah.
it's
I
something.
don't get it. I mean,
You know, this
I
is
have
a
my
guy.
thoughts, but I don't get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, this is a guy who played a lot of Hitman 3 and things be really cool. Like no wonder you think low key would take a shining to him in a way.
Yeah, you would think it would be like, yeah,
Hello?
that would be perfect, actually. But yeah, so that's gonna be a big storyline going forward, which sucks. Then, we got another little bump up, Los Mesios over the Rock Nest Monsters. I liked it. I wasn't prepared to like Rock Nest Monsters as much as I do. I think I might have some unfair feelings to them because they're so closely identified with the dearly departed bar wrestling in Los Angeles, and I didn't even when before any of the shit with
Yeah.
all that stuff came out. I was just like I kind of didn't like the comedy style, but they're like kind of reminiscent of what you like, kind of a cross between like 2.0 and like Peter Avalon. And to be fair, they took some brutal fucking stuff from Los Masios.
Yeah, it was something that for me personally, like they just looked right out of Reseda in 2013 and nothing changed. And for me, I wasn't big on that when they were in Reseda in 2013, but like the finish was wild. Like his former name was Johnny Goodtime, but he's now BHK. Flipping out because they only got one door for their match, and then stacking, and then immediately like getting a move done to him through that stack to the finish. That's that GCW feeling.
A lot of unprotected headshots. I'm liking the stability of the tag team division with Los Masios. So I hope they can get them into like a real fun, violent feud with someone. Yeah, no, I'm high on the tag division right then. And also 12 minutes, so didn't overstay welcome.
Yeah, not at all.
So then we're at the title match, the end of the card itself, which was Gage and Tony Deppen. And Gage has worked 10 matches this year. This was his 10th. And, I think we all know that his, health has been up and down and had a lot of injuries, and he had to get back into shape, and he's getting older. So how long do you think a Nick Gage, Tony Deppen match should go?
15 at most.
Yeah, and this went 26 minutes, closer to 27, and it's such a style clash where I can't fault him at all. He's an athletic wrestler. He doesn't really do deathmatch stuff. So a lot of it was like Deppen working over Gage, and then he took the pizza cutter. He took, some doors, but it's just not, what you want from a Gage title match, which is either like Gage in a death match or Gage just victimizing someone in a short mini death match.
Right.
That's it.
And yeah.
That's what Gage can do right now. People want to do the entrance, as Joe Lanza says, they want to pretend that they're in a gang, which I will admit really fun. And then they want the spots, and they don't want a nearly half-hour match of Nick Gage in 2022 getting worked over by Tony Deppen. Have him come in, have him work a 10-minute match. It's fine. Like, I don't think anyone's gonna be really pissed off that they didn't get to see Gage in a rest hold, or Gage getting
Yeah.
it's just fucking they gotta get him in either a death match or just a series of guys, because I didn't see him versus Leo Rush. That also went around 30 minutes.
I just can't. To me, that's almost unconscionable.
Just have him victimize Cole Radrick or whoever will have him. You can have him work anybody who's willing to take a couple of light tubes and go through a pane of glass, which is plenty of guys that they know.
Yeah.
Let Tony. I mean, Tony isn't gonna do that shit. Tony's with ROH. Tony doesn't have to, nor should he. It's not that hard to book Nick Gage, and it's weird that they're fucking it up, because it's just okay, this is
Yeah.
it's slow as dirt, man, and it's just I would have rather had more time being given to the Dark Main, or to Janela and Pagano, or Starboy and I mean, there's a lot of other things where I don't know if it's because Fight TV didn't want them to audience feel ripped off by Iota Vikingo not being able to perform.
Yeah.
But it was just fucking weird. It was why are you doing that with Gage? It's just have him come out, have him victimize someone, have him pin them. Or when it's time to have him have a big match, have someone who can do deathmatch spots.
Yeah, and it's something that with Gage, you've done the formula so many times. And the formula works. It's a formula for a reason. It's something that say what we will about Ricky Shane Page. He was an incredibly effective mega heel in GCW for the 2.5 years he did that, but they stuck it to a formula, and it was something that
Cardona is champ, it's not hard.
So unless Gage is chasing and he's going to be bleeding incomprehensibly, and he's beat down, and it takes until the MTK game behind him to winning the match, there should not be a Nick Gage match over 20 minutes. Ever.
It should, if it doesn't involve a cabin made of light tubes, it shouldn't be that long.
No.
And I have a bad vibe that it's going to be him and Charles Mason, and that's how they're going to get the belt off him, and it's going to be awful.
It's just and the other thing about Mason is that he's not over. He is not. It's something that everyone kind of looks at him as a weirdo more so than a monster heel.
It's like watching a dorky. What was the city? The Santa Cruz Joker. Do you remember that guy on Twitter?
Yeah, for sure.
This kind of unwell dorky kid who dressed up like Dark Knight Joker, and he tried to do the Dark Knight monologue-y type stuff, but it's a nerd.
Yeah,
it's that. No. It's if I was I'm Darkseid Drew, and I start soliloquying and being oh, I'm a rich devil man. It would be terrible because I'm a fucking dork. It just wouldn't read. So yeah, just half of this show was exactly what I wanted from GCW, and half of it was exactly what I don't want to, and I'm still probably gonna, hand over a bunch of money to Brett over the next year, because I'm gonna go see the collective stuff. All that stuff, is gonna be really fun, and it's convenient to me. And yeah, I mean, it's very exciting, after so many Mania weekends of being East Coast or places that I'm not going to, that it's in my city. So I'm really psyched.
And it's something true. Let's just talk about Mania Week now. I mean,
yeah, let's do it. I mean, yeah, I feel like LA is right now the epicenter of some of this stuff. So
yeah.
Real quick, the Dark Main, Vikingo versus Blake, it was good. They clearly wanted to get out of there.
Hmm.
They clearly weren't gonna give it. I mean, they worked the high spots. Whether you dislike Blake or not, he didn't do anything embarrassing. Um, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything where it was like if you hadn't seen him before, I'm sure it was very exciting. It was a little disappointed for them to run through something in like 9 minutes, but also I was tired too, so like I can't fault them. So Mania weekend. Um, so we have collective at the Ukrainian Center, which probably gonna be World on Lucha, Big Gay Brunch, Spring Break, maybe 2 nights,
Yeah.
Bloodsport, probably an LA Fights, a JCW show. I don't know if they're gonna partner with anyone else to like have them eat some of it, but I feel like they don't have to.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like that for them. It's something that, like, when you, like, take a step back, like, they now have they're at a point and they've laid down the roots in LA that they shouldn't need to have to do anything like that,
Yeah, I mean, I guess
you
it's
know?
like, well, if you want to get people who are willing to do midnight or like 10 a.m. on Thursday, it's just like, yeah, good luck for it to you, you know?
Yeah.
I
N
guess
it
maybe they're gonna probably do like the Generation X, the young kid show, maybe the Acid Cup, but I could see them, you know,
I think they'll keep the Acid Cup in the Northeast. I don't think they wanna get that away from New Jersey and the tri-state
hmm
area for Trent Acid, and I mean, there's also For the Culture too. Like, they'll
yeah,
try
for the
to.
coach, yeah, they will also, but. I mean, is AJ Gray? I mean, I know he worked a match for them recently, but I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like it was his show, and not the biggest AJ Gray fan, and he's been ostracized, but I mean that is his show, and I don't know immediately who on the roster. I mean, it's not like GCW has a wealth of black talent that they're using right now.
Yeah. So it's something that when I look at like GCW, like the collective is now, as much as you can say GCW is a well-oiled machine, that they've got that figured up. You have WrestleCon. I've not found a video yet for High
So
Spots
I
WrestleCon
have a
yet.
theory. I could be
Yeah.
wrong, but they are like the High Spot Hotel is downtown 3 blocks away from Globe Theater. So I'm
Okay.
thinking it's going to be Globe Theater. I could see it being there, and I could see it being the Vermont, which is where New Japan USA runs strong.
Yeah.
But it's gonna, which if it's that, then fans are really lucky because I mean, if it's either of those, really, because it's like if it's the Vermont, it's not even a quarter mile from the Ukrainian Center. You can just hang out in Hollywood all day. If it's downtown, you can take the red line.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It
like I mean, WrestleCon is going to be the super show.
Super Show, there will be a Rob Viper Lucha show. Like,
hmm
and that usually is a surefire hit there. I don't You can't do pancakes and pile drivers. That's on Fight now. They're away from. I guess you could do pancakes and pile drivers, but I feel like that Wrestling Revolver is probably not going to
Yeah,
show
I
up.
guess I'm wondering if like maybe GCW the collective is now going to be just Fight Plus branded stuff.
Yeah,
Because that would make the
there's
most sense. It's like Wrestling
right.
Revolver and then like the other handful of groups.
Yeah, get it, and it's something that, like, with WrestleCon, the big thing of WrestleCon is that they go and they get visas. They
Mm-hmm.
have gone and they go get like they like the short term work visas. Like
Mm-hmm.
that is a thing there. So there's a lot of stuff that like WrestleCon will bring people in there because I 28 no 2019 was the New York Mania, right?
That's right.
2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, because 2019 that was the one where Dragon Gate was supposed to show up. In Dragon Gate, they weren't able to get the visas because the Trump administration, and
Mm-hmm.
it was something that was like, yeah,
Gabe
no,
called in favors.
yeah, no. Gabe was mad about how things went down between him and Shima, but
But
yeah,
yeah, I
it.
mean, High Spots always has like other kind of like partners, and I mean,
Mhm.
AAA says that they're doing a show. You would think New Japan would probably have a presence because they've done so much stuff in LA and they have a venue. I mean, do you think those two things are going to be through High Spots?
I think I would have said New Japan Strong or New Japan of America through High Spots, and that's what it usually was. Like ever since New Japan 2013, it's always kind of been through them. But the whole thing about Strong on Honor Club makes me wonder if it's going to be something through Ring of Honor
Hmm. I
in
mean, and Tony
AEW.
has historically said that he doesn't want to be tied to Mania Weekend. He did it, for Ring of Honor because that date already was on the books. So I
Right.
could see maybe. I mean, there is like that San Jose show, and they do make LA such a regular stop. I mean, I guess it
Yeah.
depends on like what their 2023 schedule is like in Japan.
Yeah,
Um,
and I mean, when you like look at that for Ring of Honor, it's something. I mean, it'll be Supercard of Honor. I mean, Drew, we went to the second one. Like
yeah,
like the fact that it'll be doing away with Supercard of Honor is that's a tough one. At least from like
yeah.
me personally, because you would probably have an opportunity to do a Dragon Gate 6-man on a Ring of Honor show over WrestleMania weekend. If you know, you know that would be a big deal for
Hmm.
everyone involved, and that might not be on the books now because of that.
Where do you think Dragon Gate and Noah are going for
Yeah.
Mania?
So this was Joe Lanza's reporting. I don't question Joe's reporting. Joe in Japan, like I defer to him in a lot of it. To me, this sounds like they say it's going to be Dragon Gate and Noah both doing their own shows and then a Global Dream like show like Dragon Gate and Noah did last month. But the thing is, I think that's all Mass Republic. I think it's all Kevin Kleinrock and the group there because they're the
Hmm.
ones who have all the visas for all the Dragon Gate and Noah guys, and
I don't know
a lot of
how.
the Lucha Libre stars from
Hmm.
Mexico, like
Yeah.
Ultimos, through that. I think like before the whole situation of AAA got figured out, Mass Republic had almost everyone's visas, like it was under
Hmm.
them, and they would like sell
And
your shirts and masks.
they have done shows at a Lucha Bros store, and I
Yeah,
don't know how many people that holds. So I mean I can't think it holds more than 200. Um, maybe
yeah.
they get like I mean there's been Lucha at the USC basketball arena. Maybe that's somewhere where they can do. But like it's like
I don't think Dragon Gate Noah doing that there. I think doing AAA at Gallon Center
well
makes a
yeah I
lot of
mean
sense.
AAA has to like get an actual place.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have like this really interesting. I mean, because there was this whole thing with Vikingo, it's like AAA can't just be doing like wherever WrestleCon is. I feel like they've been saying they're going to do a big show like for this, and that means that at one point they had to hold on, you know,
The Forum, right?
forum, before
Yeah.
the New York show went so poorly. Um, you also have, I mean, you have a market of people who in LA who will go want to go see that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. Maybe they get like a big venue, like, or maybe, I mean, because you want it to be kind of central to like LA, so you don't want to go out to like, for example, I like the Pyramid in Long Beach, but that's
Yeah.
probably not what you want to do. You want to find a place in Los Angeles, and if you can find a 5,000 seater, well, you know what was great actually was that New Japan show at the Coliseum.
Mhm.
I
Oh,
mean,
the
they
one that
were
was
able to
on the
get
grounds of the Coliseum, right?
yeah, yeah, they were able to get like 2,000 maybe, and they could probably get more if they wanted to. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a clear answer, but it seems like AAA is like trying to get something bigger.
Yeah.
Um,
Whereas with like compared to the Dragon Gate Noah, I just they're people that is a group that needs to like these three shows go to high spots, say, hey, here we go. Who knows your situation of New Japan at the moment? We're here as well. We all work with each other. It's there's not a lot of like individual promotion beef like there is like Bushi Road versus Cyber Fight that happens, but for like this kind of thing, and especially like you have Dragon Gate that is kind of Switzerland, I think you could probably get. I think Dragon Gate Noah at WrestleCon makes more sense, and it'd probably be the best way not to have it being an utter disaster for all parties involved. Be
yeah,
honest.
because I mean, there will absolutely be the C and D tier shows of
It
LA-based promotions.
it would
Probably XPW.
yeah. XPW is probably going to be there. Yeah,
There's gonna be a lot
and
of people that want to do stuff in Pomona and out in like that's just like your fly-in crowds aren't gonna go to.
yeah.
I think IWTV is gonna steer clear.
I put IWTV on the run list because they have done their weekends there before. They have not done one since 2020 and
Yeah,
that Tampa
they're
COVID.
the COVID collective one was or whatever they call it. I think they have no LA presence. I think that would
No,
be a really bad call.
I mean they
Um,
have West Coast and Prestige still, but neither of those are
I mean,
LA.
they do. I think West Coast has done one date in LA, and they may not have. And Prestige does dates in. I guess you will probably see Prestige, but like Prestige runs in Pomona,
Right.
so still a bit of a drive. Uh, so yeah,
Yeah.
Mania. It's gonna be fun. I mean, you have the LA Dynamite coming up. You have Bola coming up. I don't know. It's very exciting that all these things are converging in Los Angeles for once. Um,
Yeah.
do you
And
want to talk about Bola super quick?
yeah, I mean like speaking of that, I mean 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now, Battle of Los Angeles 2023, we have a full lineup that was announced. 18 wrestlers this year. So Mike Bailey, Speedball Mike Bailey, had like a conflict and is missing night one, but will have a first round match on night two. So he has to have his entire tournament in one night. But
Hmm.
here's what we have. Just so keep in mind, Mike Bailey is not going to be listed among these matches. They'll plug him in, I guess.
Hmm.
In the one three-way opener, Bandito, Black Taurus, El Hijo del Vikingo, Titus Alexander versus Daniel Garcia, Michael Oku versus Konosuke Takeshita, Jordan Grace versus Jonathan Gresham, Aramis versus Shun Skywalker, Alex Shelley versus Masha Slamovich, SB Kento versus Leo Rush, and Latigo versus Commander. It will be the 7th and 8th of
Yeah.
January.
Haven't gotten tickets yet, but I'll probably play it by ear. And there's enough stuff here that I really like. You know, all of the lucha stuff's gonna be great. I want to see Shun and SB Kento. Um, you know, Takeshita. Yeah, there's enough stuff there that I like. There's a little bit of goofy stuff. Anyway, my call is that it's gonna be probably my chalk pick is Bailey.
Bailey, yeah, I mean, because
Maybe they do it with Masha. Maybe.
yeah, Bailey or
Those are the
Masha.
two. I mean, they could do it to Gresham, but I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna be Gresham, and I don't think it's gonna be Shelley. Those are the only four that I feel like likely, and I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be either Bailey or Masha, and probably Bailey.
Yeah, Bailey or Masha. Your dark horse, if I were to guess, Takeshita. I mean, full time over here now, and
Yeah.
if they want to make him into a regular like this, I mean, Tozawa walked so Takeshita could run. If you really
Hmm.
want to kind of distill it like that. Interesting about the Dragon Gate guys. So that either is or will be soon to be SB Kento's last North American date for this tour for this time. Like he was only
Oh wow.
planned to go from August through the end of the calendar year. So and the interesting thing about SBK and Shun being on this, Dragon Gate starts their year on that show. So I'm stoked about this. Michael Oku is someone that maybe it is how European wrestling has kind of fallen off like attention with this. But like Oku was someone that I felt like was really on the verge right before everything went down and everything shut down. Like Oku, like getting this date, I feel like is really kind of cool. What's your thoughts on Titus Alexander? Like he's been
Haven't
around
seen
and
enough
on
of
a
him. I know other
yeah,
people who really like him. I'm just fairly unfamiliar with him.
fair
Um,
enough.
it seems like him versus Garcia should be good. I mean, it seems like that kind of works to their strengths. But like he's a guy, like him and Kevin Blackwood, I just haven't seen all that much of, even though they're kind of the California prospects of the
Yeah.
moment.
Uh,
Um,
Bla- Blackwood is not listed in the tournament,
no,
which
he's
is
not. But
yeah,
I associate the two in my head. I mean,
yeah.
imagine did Titus Alexander work any of the Dragon Gate guys in West Coast or Prestige?
Not during that. I just got a chance to watch a lot of them because I've been watching a lot of West Coast and Prestige with him. I like him a lot.
Okay, so
He's someone that a, a part of like my brain just because of primarily covering Dragon Gate and then kind of going for this. Part of my brain is when I like look at a younger wrestler, I go, okay, if, like 3 months with in the gym and he's going to look awesome. Like Titus Alexander is going to look like jacked and cut as all get out. Just give him time in a dedicated kind of thing like that. Like I think he's solid. Like he's someone though when I watch, he doesn't stick out in comparison to like he does. He is in the middle of a big feud of Starboy Charlie and West Coast Pro.
mm,
Like he plays the heel in that feud, and it's one of those things that's kind of where he's like notched in there with that. But it was interesting more for Blackwood because SB Kento's had a big series of matches with Blackwood, and I felt like that they would try to do the PWG thing of stealing a match from another territory that's very popular. I thought you could do that with SBK and Kevin Blackwood if they wanted to.
Yeah, I'll have to check out some of the West Coast Pro stuff because I know people are really high on it. But yeah, I hope to be able to try to squeeze that in my schedule. At the very least, night one, and maybe not night two as well. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting stuff. A lot of good stuff coming to the West Coast this January, just all through April.
Yeah, I mean,
you
I'm
wanna-
looking into coming out to Mania weekend.
Yeah, I hope you do. I mean, yeah, you certainly have a place to stay, and it'll be super fun, and it would be nice to finally, like, I'm always very happy when people come to me and I don't have to come to them.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
So, do you want to? I don't have much opinion on Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah,
but-
the official Russ. I'll just read it.
Yeah.
I put it on the run sheet because it got announced. Wrestle Kingdom 17 full card was announced. It will be on January 4th as has been announced. Cheering is allowed with like the idea that people aren't just going to start doing like a Kobashi and chant that for 10 minutes. Like you can chant Okada and 1, 2, 3 da like this or like
20
have
seconds, right? Isn't
yeah.
that
But like the thing, if you think about it, like the only person that it really affects is Minoru Suzuki because they said no sing along specifically. So
yeah.
there will be cheering at Wrestle Kingdom. It's on way of getting 20,000 tickets at least. It'll be the biggest show in Japan since 2020. So that is worth noting.
It's also nice. I mean, I guess they do have a second branded Wrestle Kingdom show later in the month, but it's nice that like it's now back to one night, like it should be.
Yeah, it's something like it's back to one night as it should be. But Drew,
Hell,
I'm gonna
I'd say that you could probably make a card that I like in around 2 hours, and I would.
Yeah,
be a lot
and there's
happier.
still some people being left off. Oh, or they'll be in this show, but they're not announced in something. So, Rohei Oiwa versus Oleg Boltin in exhibition. The New Japan Rumble for the King of Pro Wrestling 2023 Provisional Championship. This is where I say Shingo Takagi is not on this show, so he's going to be in the Battle Royal, which just, buddy, you were main eventing this place a year ago. That stuff.
Yeah, rough.
Inoki Memorial match, Yuji Nagata, Satoshi Kojima, and Togi Makabe. Satsuki, why did I botch Fujinami's name? Tatsuji Fujinami, Minoru Suzuki, and Tiger Mask IV. IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team title, TJP and Francesca Akira versus Yo and Leo Rush. Drew, did you know that Yo and Leo Rush won the Best of the Super Juniors Tag League this year?
I did. People seem to be high on them as a team, and I guess Leo's doing really good work. So hopefully, I'm sure plug and play the next junior tag stuff in New Japan. It's just like slight deviations for the last 10 years.
It's just amusing yourself to the grave. That's what the New Japan Juniors division is.
Yeah, it's like matches you will enjoy that fundamentally don't matter.
It's just like, and then you like look at this, like the guys there. You only have one person from your dojo in this, and people get, and you look at how people are on this card, and you're like, oh, things could get dark real quickly for this company. IWGP Women's Title, Kairi winning that title from the Cross Show, defending against Tama Nakano. Drew, are you ready for some triangles?
Yeah, I'm ready for some triangles. I'm ready to enter the Solnado. I'm ready for it to rain Monet. I don't know the name of Mercedes' character on Star Wars, but I'm ready to see that. Is it Coda Reeves? I always forget if it's.
I think.
It's like I feel like I'm about to say the next teen. I mean, I'm not the person who made this.
You're about to say Kona Reeves, yes. Yeah.
It's something like that. Anyway, so like mark that as like the first thing I'm excited about for that.
Yeah, and hey, Boucher Road, that's a good for Mercedes Vernado. Gosh, if she's getting if she's getting numbers that like are purported, good for her. That it's some insane money. IWGP Junior or IWGP just tag titles, FTR versus Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi. Drew, are we going to see FTR drop all these belts now very
I
quickly?
think so. I have a theory that I think they're, gonna
You,
drop everything really quickly. I hope he gets pinned. I hope Dax gets pinned by Yoshihashi.
yeah, that feels like the natural order of things. New Japan World TV title tournament. The final is Ren Narita versus Zack Sabre Jr. Narita has to win this.
You
Like
would
they
think
need
so.
the
And
they
I mean,
they
that's the thing that I'm excited about is like the opportunities to elevate new guys here.
yeah.
So definitely one of the matches that I'm kind of excited for.
Yeah, never title. Big bright lights. Carl Anderson's finally going to drop the belt to Tama Tonga. Good for Carl
But what if
Anderson
he
making
doesn't?
them.
What if he
What if
doesn't?
he? I mean, that's what everyone should be hoping for. Just utter chaos.
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, I mean, as long as Carl gets to cut a funny promo, I'll be happy.
do we think Gallows gets? Do you think Gallows has a ticket? Do you think that they're going to fly
No,
Gallows out for this?
no, they're not. Come on. Everyone being like, "Ooh, there's a relationship." No,
No, no.
unless Gallows isn't coming unless it's on someone else's dime.
Yeah.
So
Gallows is going to be working Ganbare Pro. Like I
yeah,
feel like that. I know that currently Hartley Jackson is the Ganbare Pro champion, which it sure. But let's be honest. Don't you feel like that Doc Gallows should be wrestling against like Kenoka every month and like in
it
front of
might
100
happen.
people?
It might happen. Give it another year.
Yeah.
Um,
Kiichi Muto's New Japan Pro Wrestling last match. Muto with Tanahashi and Shota Umino versus Lij, Naito, Sonata, and Bushi. We know the fall will be Muto, Shining Wizard, Sonata, but God, have Umino pen Naito here.
yeah, that's what
He
I want to
needs
see
it.
happen.
He needs it.
And then have Naito turn heel or something, or hold on one
Retire.
second, Mike. Yeah, one brief second.
Yep.
Uh, Sorry, my food just got here.
No worries. Let's finish this up then. Let's close
Yeah.
out on Wrestle
Uh,
Kingdom. We can do a couple
Sounds
thoughts
good.
and get out of here. I gotta let Pudge
But
out
yeah,
anyways.
just to reset, they should do the boldest thing, which is letting Shota pin Naito. Have
Yeah.
Naito go heel. I want to see something new from Lij. I want to stop seeing Naito and Sonata in a tag team.
Ye-
I
It's
want to stop
frustrating.
seeing Sonata. Like,
Yeah, it's frustrating, like because you look right in the next match, you have Hiromu in a 4-way, and I'm just like, oh, Hiromu, someone who is on
remember when
borrowed time.
everyone, yeah, remember when everyone was like, it's time to like make Hiromu a heavyweight like 4 years ago
Yeah, and then
when
he
he came
broke
back
his
from
neck.
his neck injury, like
Yeah,
then he came back then, and then everyone was like, let's do it, and then he got injured again. But like, I think he had like, did he fight Bushi for the title? I'm not Bushi. Did he fight Evil for the title?
yeah, they did that New Japan Cup thing with like him like screeching at him. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So I mean, yeah, should or get the pot or like come to America, dude.
it's something for him, and like I'm not gonna get on my New Japan talent development is
Yeah.
broken
Hey,
thing.
remember Evil? Where's he
Yeah,
in this? Yeah.
he's probably in like
Roundup.
they also have not announced Never 6-Man Gauntlet. Like yeah,
Mm.
but like Hiromu is someone that like he spent so much time that he did not need on Excursion, like wrestling those matches, and he ends up with a broken neck. You know, it's just one of those things that
Mm.
I just get whenever I think about that, I just get flustered. And then the 4-way junior heavyweight title match: Taiji Shimori versus Hiromu Takahashi versus El Desperado versus Master Wato. Is it the time of the Grandmaster, Drew?
No,
Yeah,
it'll be Hiromu winning at the Dome again.
yeah. And then IWGP US title match. No matter what happens in this match, the takes will be excruciating because Will Ospreay is finally having his match against Kenny Omega.
It feels so much colder than it should, doesn't it?
Both of these main events are ice cold.
Doesn't it? I mean, maybe it's because like Kenny can't be in Japan right now. Maybe
He's
it's
in
just
Japan right
like,
now.
oh, is he?
Or he
Okay,
was in Japan last weekend because he showed up at
he
the
did show up. Okay,
Sports Awards. Yeah.
it still doesn't feel like. I mean, remember when like Omega Jericho was announced and like what a huge deal that felt like.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, it just feels inert. And then I mean, I'm sure it'll be a good match. I bet you Osprey wins. right? Like,
I think in this position, Osprey should win this one. I mean,
unless they're
unless
gonna
like,
have Kenny win the U.S. title and do New Japan USA dates.
yeah, I'll be interested to see like because if Kenny wins this title, because I think Kenny's contract is up soon, but if Kenny wins the title here, that pretty much says okay, he's going to finish out his career in New Japan and AEW. I would say.
You would think so, yeah. And I mean, they're gonna put strong on Honor Club, so that relationship's stronger. It makes sense,
Yeah,
kind of, but I just don't know. It
and
does seem just cold.
you think that's cold, like with him like sniping, Jay White versus Kazuchika Okada for the IWGP World Heavyweight
Yeah.
title. I love
It's
Okada.
just like,
Like Okada is someone that like he is very much like a system quarterback, but he is an X. He is one of the best system quarterbacks of all time. But Jay White, Jay White is living in his worst reality. I have to say because
time to
Jay
come to
White,
America. Like, time to come to America or time to turn babyface. And I know some people are like, it's too late for that. But the
yeah,
whole, like, Bullet Club 10-year anniversary thing has just rendered things even staler than you could have thought, which, is remarkable. Jay White, like, does not spend any time in Japan. Like, apparently, like, he's not
yeah,
on the final show beforehand. I mean, I don't know what his contract thing is, but it just feels. I mean, it's like Okada will win and Okada's over. But I mean, it feels like so many times we've had this reset where it's just like a boring reign of someone and then Okada wins. And then, like, I don't know. It just feels like we've been here before.
yeah, and it's just it's something that yeah, with Jay, there's so many like mitigating things that hurt him. It's like, oh, if there wasn't the whole like COVID situation, you could have done the face turn, or the whole Gaijin unrest situation, you could have done X, Y, and Z. But it's, I think that like his ideal was always like a short heel run and then prolonged baby face, like
Hmm.
foreign, what Prince Devitt was for the majority of his time before he turned heel with Bullet Club, like that kind of like oh he at the forefront, like top foreigner, like
Do you
babyface
think
foreigner.
White's contract is up?
Matters who you're talking to about his contract, and there are a lot of different opinions on how long that contract is.
Because
Like
I mean, it times out where he could do the AJ Styles thing.
yeah, I don't think it's like it's either, to my knowledge, and this is just like this, either his contract could be anything anywhere between January 31st of 2023, Drew,
Yeah.
or 2028. Like I've heard that wide of a range on his contract throughout the months.
Sure. That makes a lot more intriguing. Anyway, hope he never is in the New Japan main event, and I hope he just comes to America because he works like in America. It really makes a lot of sense. Uh, yeah. So I will probably catch Wrestle Kingdom the next day to see. Or actually, you know what? I'll probably catch it when there's a giant rumbling, like earthquake type thing, when all of the Mercedes Monet fans, like
Uh, it-
alert everyone that she's back. So I'll
yeah.
probably turn it on right when that happens.
No, it's something that I mean, the fourth is on a Wednesday this year, so I'm figuring out how I'm gonna take care of that because there's a lot of other
Hmm.
stuff with 1-4 happening there. So, Drew, we went a little bit longer than a usual episode, but before we got out of here, Drew, what are the things from wrestling that like left the mark on you this year? Like we're gonna reminisce for a couple
What?
minutes before we're
Okay.
out of here.
I mean, like I said, cruel. You know, that was fun.
Change your
I
narrative,
control your narrative.
control your narrative. Yeah,
I never got to see that. I don't know. It was kind of boring. I mean, I know like there's all the AEW Palace intrigue stuff. Like, I guess like that's probably the most interesting stuff. Mox, being, wrestler of the year. That's always, kind of great to see. His year, I think, is incredible. And it's too bad that it will be I don't know, maybe in time it'll be appreciated, but it's, always been in this shadow of like break when necessary. Um, yeah, I mean, Jericho's here.
yeah.
showing. I mean, I guess McMahon leaving, and showing how little things will actually change in WWE. Um, yeah,
It's wild.
it's all the fun stuff. What about you?
I think like it's hard. Like it's been like such a weird year that like the first thing etched in our brain should be Vince McMahon's forced retirement from WWE in
Hmm.
2022 in wrestling. Like that should be bright like letters. Actually is like one like the moments that when I was like watching it and after it was over, I was like, I'm glad this happened. And as Dr. Martha Hart returning, like
That was really
her,
nice. Yeah.
yeah, her getting a chance to like engage with wrestling on her terms after 20 years. Like that was something that I thought was really kind of cool. Other than that, I mean, yeah, Dumb Palace intrigue. Wondering, I still want an oral history about the bag of spindrifts. I have a lot of questions about that,
Yeah,
but
I mean, I think the next 3 weeks in AEW is going to be very crucial.
yeah, and
Um,
it seems like a lot of stuff might be at least like with Warner Brothers Discovery. I I
they're going to
I
be in
feel like
LA. They're going to
yeah,
be, I think they're going to need. I mean, it's also
is
like, I,
is
I
the
mean, like,
Zaz going to be there?
is the Zaz going to be there? I mean, also like, I don't know. I feel so dumb, like even saying it, but it just feels like the circumstances that you would want to have a CM Punk FTR confrontation with the Bucks and Kenny, like the table is kind of being set. I don't 100% believe it, but
Sure.
I just have like, it's like the last thing before like Punk's various injuries was him in FTR in the Forum. Uh, FTR's losing all of their titles. Punk is starting to be a little bit more cheeky about AEW stuff, talking about like MJF and Danhausen and posting picture. I don't know. It's just like something there just kind of feels sticky.
Yeah.
I
No,
could
no.
be wrong. I mean, I'm probably wrong, but like you're gonna. I mean, Mercedes Moné needs to be in. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you lose if she's not there in the forum. Like, I know Lanza had like the opposite opinion that it's like, oh, the fans are working themselves and that's not Tony's fault. But it's like, precisely what everyone's like. It's not
Oh yeah.
as explicit as the Darby Allin calling out the best in the world, but we all know like when it is and what's coming up, and like if it's anyone other than Mercedes, like you fucked up.
Yeah.
Like and like you need to like yeah, you need to like it's like I'm expecting something along the lines of all out
Or like
20
Grand Slam last year.
yeah, all out 2020 2021 or Grand Slam of last year where like I want to see like a lot of new people, a lot of returns, and a lot of surprises. And I think you're going to get a lot of that.
Yep. Are you going to the forum for the show?
Haven't gotten tickets yet. I think I'm going to wait to see what happens on the 4th.
I don't blame you on that. Well,
Yeah.
Drew, this was a lot of fun. It was something that as soon as I knew like how everything was going down for our schedules, I was like, well, we're going to do something before
Yeah.
the end of the year. And I'm super happy that we at least got to
Mhm.
have a little bit of a holiday mixer this
Yeah.
year.
I will miss you over the holidays. Give the whole family a hug. And next year in the Ukrainian Cultural Center.
Oh yeah, no, I want to go to like at the very least. I don't know if I'm going to be going to every single GCW show just because like I
No, you
might be doing
can't.
some more.
You can't do that.
Yeah, yeah, I can't do the.
You can't do.
I went to a settlement series show of my own volition over All Out Weekend. Like I feel like that I've already like done my one like dark shit watching of GCW for 24 months. So like but like World on Lucha, yeah, I'm here for
Yeah,
World on Lucha.
I mean, it's gonna be a lot of fun the next couple months, and it's all going down in LA.
Absolutely, Drew. Well, thank you again. And thanks for everyone for watching this. Hope you all have a great holiday yourself, and we'll be back with you real soon. Take care, everyone.
Happy New Year.